In today's club, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the brand Supreme and whether its products are simply overpriced BS or something slightly more. Hey, XenPuck here. Another day just spent ruminating on whatever the heck I feel like. It's Friday. God, it feels good to be making clips for Fun Times Friday, because this is the day of the week where I talk about things that just makes me smile, okay? Whiskey. So today I picked the brand of Supreme. You may have heard of it, or just have been confused for the last decade about this brand. I mean, this is not a new brand anymore, and as far as I can tell, it still thinks of itself as luxury streetwear. An oxymoron if I've ever heard of one. I mean, just go take a look at their website for some ridiculously priced $500 t-shirts that literally just has its logo on it. Yep, that's the brand that you recognize, that people buy into. So am I going to make fun of it? Actually, no. I think Supreme the brand is a fantastic example of how capitalism actually works. So let's dive in. First, let's start with, why is this brand so expensive, right? Because that part is clear. Supreme is expensive, like really expensive. For reasons that's not super apparent. Any relatively young person has seen I think the logo is just white font of Supreme on a red box, okay, outright red boxy outline. So you know the brand is recognizable, but the logo also doesn't look very, well, complicated, right? Honestly, it reminds me of a print that I can easily put on a t-shirt myself. And I'm going to guess plenty of knockoffs has been doing that in the fashion that I just described, okay? Now, I'm sure the much more design-focused amongst us can educate me about exactly what makes Supreme so special, and since it has won awards in the fashion industries for menswear. But I'm just talking about this from a purely layman's perspective, okay? And it's similar in appeal to me as the white-on-white canvas hanging in any modern museum in your local neighborhood. Which means that it can certainly be seen as art in the sense that someone has to tell me that it's art. But in and of itself, something like the Supreme logo gives me like zero emotional effects by itself, right? In and of itself. It is only the story of the brand, the narrative that's been told by the brand and to the consumer that increases its value. Now, to be clear, if I compare the brand of Supreme against more established fashion brands, such as, say, some of the Italian greats, like Prada, right? One could argue, I mean, the price being charged is equally absurd when compared to these two things, Supreme versus an Italian brand. And possibly that Supreme clothes is actually comparatively more wearable, because they did start out selling just t-shirts, right? Unlike Italian fashion houses, right? So really the price boils down to whether you think it's art, okay? At least that's how I judge the price that Supreme charges for its own goods, okay? This is related to the next point. Point number two, why it's different from most other clothes, right? To me, it's because Supreme's resellability is actually one of the best I've ever seen, okay? That makes it an actual asset instead of just clothes. One of the major reasons I won't and can't simply dismiss Supreme as a total joke, whether I agree with its actual visual aesthetics or not, is because that no matter what they charge for their items, or whether I agree with the pricing model or not, their products maintain its value more than most clothes. I would say as a percentage more than most consumer goods, right? To the point where some people can actually consider them real investments, right? Definitely within the field of apparel, that is tremendously the case, right? Considering how Supreme started as an actual niche clothing maker for skateboarders, I have to give real credit to their marketing team and strategy, right? And for not overstretching itself, right? Heck, if you sell a t-shirt and you're able to charge 50x what it normally, would cost at a regular store, the extra value people are paying for is basically assumed to be the brand itself, right? This is fantastic capitalism at work here, right? Supreme also do not overproduce, unlike many a luxury brand or luxury adjacent brands who's trying to increase their audience, right? Like I mentioned before, Supreme's simple logo is actually really, really easy to duplicate. But honestly, you might say, hey, look at Supreme's clothes. It's just a t-shirt with a logo compared to, let's say, what Prada and Gucci makes, right? Some of those are harder to counterfeit. But that's actually not really true in this day and age, right? The reality is that anyone and any brand can be counterfeit. And yet, there's still a real market for the real affluent to shell out for the real deal. Okay, that's how a $500 t-shirt that they sell initially can resell for $1,000. I get the sense that for the really rich people, knowing they have the real thing is more important to themselves than whether or not authenticity can be recognized by, other people, or their friends, or the general plebs. Okay. Now, moving on. Point number 3, why I am a fan in itself is something that I want to dive into a little bit, right? Because it's really about leaning into the absurdity of this whole brand, right? I remember when I was first told about this streetwear company that was blowing up and how it was just selling basics, presumably because they're loved by hip-hop stars or whatever, okay? Initially, I didn't really care for the brand at all because, for my person, hip-hop is not very high on my list of genres that I love. So, I don't know those stars, right? Plus, even though I do love casual wear, I've never thought of it as luxury goods, right? Why pay hundreds for a t-shirt that only has print on it, right? Not even like a painting or a cartoon or something that's hard to put on a shirt, right? Like when I can easily pay like $15 for a t-shirt with a great and clever math joke on it or something like that, right? However, what really changed my mind was when Supreme started selling just plain old bricks for $30, okay, with its logo on it. Yes, a real brick that serves zero function unless you wanted to build a house for some reason with the logo on it for Supreme, okay. By the way, despite the building materials boom of these mid-COVID times, pretty sure the average price of a brick, for its actual functionality purposes, is like 50 cents. Okay, so they're selling this thing for 60 times, 60 probably back in the days when they sold it, 60 to 100 times the actual cost, right? As a cynic and an absurdist, this product made perfect sense to me. In reality, right? Once I saw this, I realized that the brand understood what it was. Like it was very, very honest with itself and really understood people in general, right? Selling a brick is such a great troll move because it's an admission that people are mostly sheep-like morons and will buy anything that they think is popular and potentially, I guess, could gain value, right? Right now, if you go look on the internet, you can buy the Supreme bricks somewhere between 200 to a G, which is absurd, okay, on the resale market, right? I mean, when I look at this is something that happened like 5 to 10 years ago. I forget exactly when, but in the context of bricks sold by Supreme that serves no function, is it really any wonder now why crypto is having its time in the sun right now? Another useless asset you can't really do anything except resell. I mean, again, not knocking on the value, it's simply value found in the absurd, okay? So in conclusion, even though I think Supreme might be an absurd brand, but that's only if you care about utility alone, right? As a brand, and as a brand with a story, it's absolutely fascinating, right? A marketer is having a fantastic grasp of human psychology and how supply and demand works, right? So how much is a t-shirt with some words on it worth? Usually, not much at all. But how much is a t-shirt with the same word from an internationally recognizable brand worth? Well, the answer to that question is easy, right? If you understand capitalism, it's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it, right? The only difference between Supreme and, say, Prada and Gucci of the old-fashioned Italian brands is that those old brands actually had to make clothes for many, many, many decades before their reputation has set in. Comparatively speaking, Supreme's brand has skyrocketed into the public consciousness probably because celebrities who grew up and endorsed them on streetwear have lower actual standards for clothing, right, in terms of complexity, right? But that's okay, okay? Clothing has never, ever been just about what's the most intricately made, right? But clothing is really about what it says about you, right? So go splurge 20x to 50x on a piece of Supreme gear and understand that you too could look like a post-modern art level of douchery. But if that's not your thing, there's always 100 more suckers that you can resell this crap to for even more money, okay? That's what I love about this brand, right? God bless capitalism. What do you guys think about stories like this? And do you see the parallels between an absurd brand like this and the crypto market, for instance? Please feel free to leave a comment below, share and like, and all that jazz. Do it as you will. If not, I don't care. I'm rich. All right. Have a good day. Bye.